everybody, welcome back to Pagan's Witchy Corner. My name is Pagan. I am so happy to be joined back with you guys after my nice little sabbatical, and I am joined with a wonderful guest today who wrote some really fantastic books, Laurel Woodward. Welcome to the show.
Why, thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
I am so glad to have you here. By the way, first off, your books are incredible. I love them so much. They sit there right up there with my cookbooks. I love them. I reference them often. They're so awesome. Thank you for writing them.
I'm so glad you like them.
Yes, they're beautiful, beautiful books. Everybody, if you are looking to buy a copy, there'll be links in the description, so you guys will have that all set up for you. But Laura, let's go ahead and get started talking about the first book of yours that I got, which was Kitchen Witchery. And this book is really a great book that really breaks down all of the different types of ingredients and how they can be used in mundane ways, but as also magical ways. So it is a really great book for witches to get started, especially on their journey if they're wanting to get into kitchen witchcraft, at least from my opinion. What was your inspiration for writing this book?
Well, all of my books really reflect where I am in my practice at that time. And I've always been a huge cook. I love cooking. I love garden to table cooking.
Mm-hmm.
But I just been diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, and I had to do this huge discovery of not, it was like a curse actually, because I love baking bread, I love baking cakes, I love baking things. And I was told I cannot have flour, I can't have wheat. So I had to go
Same.
on this
Same.
yeah. And at the time, I was diagnosed 10 years ago, and there weren't a lot of gluten-free options at that
Mm-hmm.
time. There weren't cup to cup flours. So I had to kind of experiment and I had to completely experiment and see what I could create with these alternatives. And the book came out of a reference that I sent to Llewellyn, and they said, "Well, let's change it and do this." And
Mm-hmm.
it incorporated all of the experiments that I had been doing at the time into gluten-free flours and different recipes and how to try to deal with this thing I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my in my practice, my one of my key focuses is trying to bring magic to the mundane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to save it for a full moon night. I want it to be in, my every effort. And I mean, our kitchen is just contains so many amazing magical ingredients. It was just a great jumping off point to start. Um, I don't know if I answered your question or
You
not. I was
did.
kind of rambling there.
You totally did.
I have rambling days
It's
where I
okay.
just kind of lose
Rambling days happen a lot around here, especially depending on how bad my brain is that day. So if I repeat like a question, just ignore me and just answer it again, and we'll go with it. So it works out.
I had COVID about I guess it was about 2.5 months ago. I
Oh,
had it for 3 weeks. It was awful. It was
I'm
just
so
awful. I was
sorry.
completely floored. And I've had 3 vaccinations, so I really didn't think it would hit me so badly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been really annoying, and I still don't have hearing in my right ear. And
Wow.
yeah, it's very annoying, but I think I'm kind of a bit foggy still from it. It's just frustrating.
I have multiple sclerosis, so my brain days come with however my MS is affecting me that day. So I completely and totally understand. I am very, very lucky. Thank the gods I have not caught COVID yet. I hope to never catch it, but
Yes.
at the same time, yeah, I'm quadruple vaxxed and all that stuff. So I completely understand. It's a really scary thing to think about. And there was a study I read the other day that they said that now they're starting to see people who have had COVID look a lot like they have MS on their MRIs and stuff like that. So that's really
I was reading
interesting.
that also.
Yeah.
A lot of people are experiencing long-term neurological
Hmm.
changes.
It's a scary disease. It really
It
is.
is. It is.
It's so scary. But I also read in your book that you are somebody who really likes sustainability and
Yes,
those
yes, I
kinds of
do.
things. And that is one of my big, huge passions as well. What would your advice be for somebody who is wanting to kind of merge their magic and sustainability practices, or even if they're just wanting to get started with sustainability? What would your like top advice be for them?
In the kitchen or the garden?
Both.
Okay.
Either one. Whichever you feel comfortable answering. I'm good with either one. Or both if you'd like.
Okay. Well, I guess they go together.
Hmm.
I am I have a passion for growing food and medicine plants. Right now
Hmm.
I have a pasture that I converted into a kitchen garden,
Oh
and
wow.
I have pumpkins. I just love pumpkins. I have three different kinds of pumpkins right now, and tomatoes, and of course zucchini. I've been eating like a squash a day for 2 months now. Um, but I love growing food. I
Hmm.
love knowing where it came from. I love knowing what kind it is. I love knowing that there's no with my autoimmune thing, I really have to be organic. I
Hmm.
things things affect me and make me ill. So I hate talking about illness. But the way our food is designed right now, I
Hmm.
think it's really contributing to a lot of illness.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So having my own garden where I can, pick something that I know what it is, where it came from, how it was grown, and I know what went into its growth, and I can take it fresh and bring it into my kitchen and make it into something else that I, um, feed my family with, or just eat for fun. I made blackberry scones the other day, gluten free, actually
Oh,
gluten
that
free
sounds
blackberry scones
delicious.
just for me. And I froze half of them so I can have them whenever I want. And that's a real magic. Um, as far as sustainability, I like to I put up a lot of food.
Hmm.
I've shredded zucchini and froze a bunch of bags of it. I have 4-gallon bags of blackberries right now
Oh
for later on
wow.
when we don't have them. I have I made 3 batches of St. John's wort oil to have throughout the year because the flowers
Hmm.
only grow the one season. Um, I have a lot of my own herbs. I don't like buying stuff. I don't like going to the store and purchasing something for something. I like using what I have on hand.
Hmm.
Um, I rarely will I look at a recipe and then go buy the things for that recipe. Usually I look at what I have and then figure out what I can create from what I have.
Hmm.
Um, so I think a lot of it, if you want a tip about sustainability in the kitchen, it would probably be learn to use basics to your
Hmm.
advantage, and don't be afraid to experiment. Even if something doesn't turn out to be exactly what you want, it's still going to be edible.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I've done a lot of so dishes. I've probably done like I'll probably do 4 or 5 so dishes until I find one that is that, oh, this is exactly how I want it to be. Um, but they still get eaten up.
I love that. And, the other thing about magic, and especially magic in the kitchen, is magic is about play and experimentation and seeing what works best for you and what works best for your path as well. Um, Being in the kitchen is exactly the same. It's just spicy chemistry with
Yes,
food.
and it's having fun. It's
Yes.
having fun and it's satisfying needs that you have in the moment. Um, I love kitchen witchcraft. I love green witchcraft.
Hmm.
Um, when I'm doing things in a moment to moment, applying ideals and magical concepts to cooking or gardening or just walking outside, it turns my entire day into a wonderful, um, just blessed existence.
I love
It's
that.
it's very empowering.
It is very
I
empowering.
love nature. I love being outside. My whole practice really is communing with the wild gods. Um, I just it's what gives my life meaning.
Mhm. Well, that definitely ties us right into your book, Backyard Garden Witchery, which it was funny when I started reading this book, I was like, is she sitting in my backyard writing this? Because it reads identical to my backyard, just everything the way that you described it. I'm like, yeah, check. Family of raccoons, check. Squirrels, check. Birds, check. Bugs, check. Beautiful garden surrounding me, check. Nice overhang of a nice oak tree above me, yeah, check. Okay, yeah, she wrote this in my backyard. That's how it felt. It was so funny to read that, and I was just like, wow, that's, and it was made the book even more exciting for me because I was like, yeah, she like literally took it out of my life, which was great.
Well, I'm glad that you could connect with it like that. My friend Britta, who reads all my stuff as I'm writing it, goes, these are kind of feel like they're written by two different people. And it's just because I was at two different,
Hmm.
such different places in my life when I was writing them. One, I was kind of angry and angst about having this curse, and
Hmm.
the other, I was just so blessed to be outside in nature. And um, I was, just kind of seeing the virtues of the land.
It's definitely a beautiful book. And I love that book so much because I'm a hardcore homesteader. I absolutely
Mm,
love sustainability, and especially growing my own food. And it was funny when you were talking about eating a squash today. The first thing that popped into my head is I have this butternut squash plant that didn't do so well in the summer because it got ridiculously hot here and it just almost
mm.
tried to die on me. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna water you and hope for the best and see where we end up. If I get more squash, cool. If I don't, okay, we'll just see where we end up. And it started raining about probably mid-August, like hardcore rains, like almost flood rains here. We got our monsoon season, and it went nuts. It's taken over my entire bed that it's in,
Mm.
and has taken over my entire fence. And there's this squash that's growing on it that is ginormous for a butternut squash. It is so huge. I'm like, that's the biggest butternut squash I've ever seen. It's probably about 20 inches long and about 9 inches wide. It's
Wow.
huge. And I was like, and it's not even done growing. Like, it hasn't even started to ripen yet. It's still green. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, you're going to be a big boy. I don't know what you are, what I'm going to do with you, but you're going to be a big one. And it's got another one that's almost probably a little bit less than the size of that one growing right next to it. And I'm like, okay, well, and now it's like gone underneath the fence and it's growing out into the field next to my fence where I keep my dogs and all that. And I'm like, okay, we'll see what you do. I'm just going to leave you alone and let you grow. Have a nice day, butternut squash. And
Yes, I love that. I love that. Um, when I get up in the morning, I have this routine I do where I get up, I feed my goats, I walk them over to the sheep field, and then I get my paintbrush and I walk out to my garden and I check all the female blossoms of my
mm-hmm,
squashes and pumpkins and hit them with pollen just to make sure. I have tons of bees. I'm blessed with bees here, but I don't want to lose any.
yeah.
And I talk to each one as I see it and say, "Oh, I see you. I see you. Here you go." And "Oh, you look so big and beautiful today." And I sometimes I think my kids think I'm an absolute nut, but it's. I mean, plants are people too.
They are. They
They
are.
they have so much to offer us, and they have so much wonderful healing energy, whether it's for food or herbs or just being there, just being present.
I remember during the summer when, it was still pretty hot and all that, and all my tomatoes just weren't, they were growing, but they weren't doing anything. They weren't actually producing, they weren't blossoming it because it was just way too hot for them. And I finally went out there and I was like, look, the season is about to wrap up. You guys need to do something. Figure it out. I don't care what you have to do. And then the weather immediately cooled off. We got a ton of rain and they went nuts. And I'm gonna have to can some tomato soup here fairly soon because I have more tomatoes than I know what to do with. So I'm like, okay, well that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna can some tomato soup then because I have to. And same with my poblanos. My poblanos just kind of didn't do anything all summer. And I'm like, okay, you guys need to do something. And now they're covered in them. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to eat all these.
Yeah, my prolongers are going crazy too. And it's, Oregon and Washington doesn't, it's not known for peppers, but I have had very good luck with the hot varieties. Bells really struggle here, but
Yeah.
the problemos, boy, oh my gosh, they're just, the Anaheim's do pretty good too. But yeah, I know what you mean. I have like 30 of them that are ready to pick and got to figure out something to do with them,
Yeah.
you know.
I feel that. And I have so many jalapenos too. I'm like, I'm just going to have to freeze you guys, I guess,
Yeah.
because I was like, well, I planted last year. I planted 7 jalapenos.
Mhm.
And that was way too many. Way too many. More went bad than I actually was able to eat. This year I was like, okay, I'm gonna plant 3. That should be enough. I
Mhm.
still have more than I know what to do with, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well we're just gonna freeze these and I guess make salsa with them later or something.
Isn't the abundance wonderful though? It's
It
just,
is. It so
yeah.
is. And my garden was weird this year too. Like some stuff just didn't grow at all because I think it was way too hot and way too
Mhm.
dry. So it was a
Where are
strange.
you?
I'm in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year my entire garden was insane. I had more produce than I knew what to do with. But this year it really struggled because of the heat, and
Mhm.
I know that was for a lot of other Tennessee gardeners were the same. So it was just a strange year for the way stuff grew. Um,
Here too. We had a really, really long, cold spring, and
mhm.
so everything's like a month behind. My
Yeah.
tomatoes are just now turning red,
Oh
and a lot of
wow.
the fruit did not set. Um, so it was a very strange year.
It was.
Um,
It was very strange. I don't know if you know this, but you probably do. But if you are running towards the end of your season, you have a lot of green tomatoes. Go
mhm.
ahead and pick them green and then bring them into the house and put them in a paper bag with an
Oh
apple
yeah,
and they'll ripen.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hoping we'll have like another month before the nights get too cold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I started doing that just so that I can have some, have
I
some
feel that.
quicker.
uh, so with your garden and all that, especially where you live, what are some of the things that you do to prep your garden as it goes into fall and winter to get it ready for spring? Do you have any tips on that for
um,
everybody?
well, clearing away and weeding and weeding and weeding and weeding. I spend a lot of time weeding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have a uh, cultivator um, to turn the soil
Mm-hmm.
when I when I'm ready to. But oh, and I take the old straw and do a couple really good nice layers of old straw over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the real work comes as soon as the soil dries out in the spring. Um, that's when it's you know that's when you have to really get dirty and
Yes.
I get my pick out. I do just about everything by hand. I get my pick out and then I pick everything,
Mm-hmm.
pick the whole bed, and then I weed and weed and weed and weed and weed. And the growing power here is just so strong
Mm-hmm.
that, and I don't believe in sprays or any kind of chemicals.
Oh,
I have to do
I do
everything.
if it's only like stuff that I can trace the chemicals and I know
Mm,
exactly what it is and where it
mhm,
came from. And most of my stuff is essential oil based.
Right.
So that way it doesn't actually harm the plants and doesn't harm the
Well,
pollinators.
right, sure. I use neem oil and I use
Yeah,
vinegar and
same.
things like that.
Hmm.
Um, but for like weeding the vegetable bed, I just pull it all out. I just pick it out.
Yep.
And it's an immense process because it's a large area. And the growing areas, you pick it out and a week later it's back. They just keep coming back.
Hmm.
But that's just what it is. That's just how it is.
I
Um,
feel that. I feel grass is the bane of my existence here.
mm,
And I have raised beds, and all my raised beds have, like they've got like 2 or 3 inches of cardboard underneath them, and they've also
mm.
got like garden cloth, and they've I also put hardwire cloth underneath to keep out because we have moles and gophers and
Oh yeah.
stuff. So I do that, but still, like there's grass in all my beds, and I'm like, ah, you guys are the bane of my existence. I rip
Yeah.
you out and you come right back, and I get my little weeder out and I go down deep and get the root out, and yeah, no, it still comes right back every time. But that's part of gardening, and that's
Yeah, it is.
if you're having a bad day, go weed. Trust
Yeah,
me, you
exactly.
won't have a bad day anymore.
If you're having a bad day, just go outside. Just go outside and let your mind quiet and just listen and look around and let your senses be filled up with the natural sights and sound. That
Hmm.
pulls me out of a bad mood every time.
Yes, definitely does the same for me. And like I said, if I'm having a bad mood or I'm really angry or something, I'll just go outside and weed for a little
Mhm.
bit. Take it out on the weeds. Trust me, it's okay.
Yeah,
Your plants will thank you for it.
that's true. That is true.
So okay, fun question before we kind of wrap up for our chat and all that. But what is your favorite herb? What is your favorite flower? So it's several questions, I should say. What is your favorite herb? What is your favorite flower? What is your favorite vegetable, and why?
Okay. And I do want to hit on, I had some exciting news where I'm
Oh,
doing
we're
a
gonna
new book.
definitely do all they promote you and promote all that good stuff. So don't
Oh,
worry.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I
Okay.
just do that at the end.
Okay. My favorite herb right now, it changes. My favorites change all the time.
Hmm.
But right now I'm totally into lemon balm.
Oh, lemon
Um,
balm's the best. It's so
I,
good.
it just smells so good and you could cook so easily with it and it's improves your mood
Hmm.
and it's just I love lemon balm. But I found out you can make pesto with it and you can grind it up
Oh.
and put it in um, ricotta cheese to bake into noodle dishes. I mean, you could do a whole half a cup and ricotta and it's like spinach. You don't even really,
Oh,
you
I
know,
bet that tastes
it
delicious.
is, it's nice. And it has such a gentle, uplifting energy.
Hmm.
It restores mood and it's a great herb.
It is a great
Uh,
herb. It's also great with tea. So if
oh
you're somebody
yeah,
who wants to take an herbal tea, lemon balm tea is great.
yeah. And it's so easy to grow. It grows like a weed.
I think it's
Um,
in the mint family, and that's why it grows like a weed, if I remember
mhm.
correctly. Yeah.
um, Flower right now would be roses and dahlias
Hmm.
and sunflowers. The season right now is sunflowers, so I have to add them too. But I love dahlias. I'm I love cloning flowers, and dahlias are so easy to clone. Roses are super easy to clone too.
Hmm.
I know you're not supposed to. I know it's against all of the gardening ethics, but if I see an amazing, beautiful dahlia or flower or rose, I might snip a little and bring it home and make my home. um, any rose that's hanging over my fence is fair game. So
Yes.
but also if I'm out on a walk and I see an amazing, beautiful rose, I can't help myself. I will take a little snip and bring it home and make a new bush. Um, and I have a lot of beautiful roses because of that. But I and roses have a gentle. They also have a gentle love energy.
Hmm.
I use them a lot in bath magics and
Oh, yes. Very nice.
um, teas too. I
Hmm.
throw rose petals and I cook with roses sometimes. I'll use them in um, a scented oil or on top cakes and things.
Oh, I bet
Rose
that's
petals are
pretty.
Yeah, rose petals are really easy to use. I like to sugar them, and you can dry them and sugar them, and like a violet. I like violets too, but they're in the spring.
Hmm.
Um, and vegetable, you say?
Yes, vegetable. What is your favorite vegetable and why?
I love all vegetables. I do. I love all vegetables, and I crave different ones on different days. I think for its generosity, it would be pumpkin and zucchini.
Hmm.
Um, for its sustainability, it would be spinach, because it's a cut and come, and you just grow it and grow it and grow it, and you just snip it, and you have it all the time. I have a full spinach bed right now, and bok choy, and beet greens and cabbage. Um, that's hard. How do you narrow it down to
I
one?
know it is hard. It is very, very
Oh,
hard.
you know what? I think right now I might choose butternut squash, because it's so easy to grow.
Hmm.
You keep it and it lasts for months and months and months. It's fantastic for. I think I used my last butternut in early March last year.
Hmm.
Um, and you can make anything you can make with pumpkin with them.
Yep.
And they make fantastic lasagnas and raviolis and fettuccinis and
Hmm.
soups. Um, yeah, I guess I'll go with butternut squash. What's yours? What would you choose?
Oh, I would say probably my favorite one currently is Brandywine tomatoes.
Oh
They are
yes.
probably the sweetest tomato I've
Mm,
ever eaten.
mm,
And I literally could just go outside and pick them off of my plants, wash them off, and then
mm.
eat them like a tomato or eat them like an apple. Like they're that good. They're so, so
Yeah.
good. And then probably for like a fallish kind of vegetable would probably be butternut squash because you can substitute it for like
Hmm.
potatoes or one of my favorite things to do is mash it up with some sweet potatoes
Oh
and
yeah.
it just becomes so decadently good. It's
Mm,
great in chilies and soups and all sorts of stuff. Like it's so versatile. And like you said,
yeah.
once you cure it, it keeps forever.
Right.
I have like a shelf of them in my living room and they're just sitting there in this dark little shelf in the corner hanging
Hmm.
out because I'm like, I have nowhere else to store you right now. So here you go. And they store beautifully. I actually have pumpkins right there with them too. And they store beautifully. So once you cure them, they're great. They will store
Yeah.
for quite some time. And if you're, somebody that lives in a humid place and you're not wanting to cure them, just peel them, chop them up, and freeze them
Hmm.
and trust me, you'll be golden. You'll be great. I think that most of my like food saver bags I can get probably two, maybe even three chopped up out of one big butternut squash. So yeah, you'll be good.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
really, really great. And they're also really easy to grow. Like you said, like I literally just planted it on a whim. I've never grown them before. And I was like, I'm just going to put this here and see what it does. And it went insane. So unless you are somewhere that's in a small space, that might be your only reason for not growing it because
Oh
it
yeah.
takes over.
If you have a full sun, a lot with full sun, it'll grow. It should be fine.
Yeah.
And they're so generous.
Mm-hmm.
Mine right now, every morning, just about, I have two or three new squash, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to develop before the season ends.
Yeah.
But new squash waiting to be pollinated, and it's just I don't know. When I walk outside and I start working in my garden, I just feel blessed. I
Mm-hmm.
feel um, happy and content and just honored to have this place to where I can experience the natural energies growing and living. I think man got it wrong when he was go forth and conquer. I think we should go forth and nurture and
Yes, absolutely.
um, be a part of the environment, not the conqueror of the environment. You know,
I am very much a proud supporter of grow food, not lawns.
yes, me
Yes.
too.
Yeah. So if that's not your thing, then you might have come to the wrong podcast, just for the record.
Right.
Everyone listening.
I totally agree. I think when a gardener looks at a place and thinks, I need to change all this and transform it into my vision, I think that's wrong. You should go into the environment and see what you can contribute to nurture
Mm-hmm.
what's going on there. And of course, you can change things. You can change elements to make it your vision, but I don't think you should devastate the life that's existing there. I think you should co-create with it.
I agree. I
But
absolutely
but
agree.
I also love creatures. I love the butterflies and the praying mantis and the lizards and the little snakes and the spiders. I love them all. The birds overhead. I share a lot of my bounty with these creatures, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to.
I grew a lot of sunflowers this year for the birds.
Oh yeah,
And,
that's
of
so
course,
nice.
people are like, why didn't you harvest the seeds for yourself? And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't want to spend the time cracking them because I only have so much energy in a day. And if I have to really work that hard for my food for one little seed, I'm probably not going to eat it.
Mhm.
But I said, the birds will. And
Yeah,
I said, the birds need it. And I said, also, if I'm growing something specifically for them, they won't eat my other plants.
yeah, that's true.
So,
Plus, they're so wonderful to watch and
yes.
listen to. They bring so much joy.
They do. They so do. It was so funny. Probably my funniest garden story of the entire year is I had this squirrel come in and he tried to steal a jalapeno pepper and he finally got it off the plant.
Oh no!
And you see him go up into the tree and you see him take a bite out of it and he just kind of stops and looks at this thing like, "Why did you hurt me?" And
Oh,
I'm just like, "Oh, buddy, I'm sorry, but you should have not eaten that."
yeah.
So, uh, but yeah, that was probably my best garden story out of this year, which was great. And I know you have some other really great stuff that you want to promote. So please let's talk all about your classes, works, anything you've got going on, and tell people also where they can find you and, kind of follow you and keep in touch with your work.
Okay. Well, I do have two wonderful things that just happened. I sold another book to Llewellyn, and
Oh,
it's coming out
yay.
next year. It's called Wellness Witchery, and it's about using the nervines. And I did a oh, what was it? It was a winter festival food panel with four different authors for Llewellyn last December.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions was, how has your practice changed this year? And it got me thinking because it really has. COVID just put a whole spin on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from doing works for prosperity and happiness, and I mean, from prosperity and abundance to just small happiness, content, things to uplift my well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And so a new book came out, um, and it's just using the herbs and nervines that are in my immediate environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned it in and they handed it back to me like they always do because I'm kind of crap at organizing material. And they handed it back to me with all these wonderful notes. And so I'm rewriting it right now and it's turning into this really nice wellness book.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Um, and also, I was asked to do the recipes for the Llewellyn Datebook 2024.
Oh, that's so
Um,
good.
yeah, so that's coming out the next year. I'm really happy with both those things.
Oh, that's so, so wonderful. I'm so excited for that. I buy the date book every year. So,
I do too.
I
I do
love
too.
that. I can't wait to see what you put in it. And some of your recipes in there, I immediately went and put them in my own recipe book because I was just like, these are so good that I'm gonna have to just make them and
Well,
eat
I'm
them
glad you
all
like them.
day. I'm very excited about your wellness book. You probably don't have a expected release date, do you?
No, not yet.
Not
They
yet.
said
Okay.
just next year.
Just next year. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, whenever it comes back out, or anytime you'd like to, you're welcome to come back by. I'd love to chat with you about it, and I'd love to continue talking all sorts of fun, sustainability and wellness stuff with you. I think that would be such a wonderful conversation to have.
Well, I'd love to, Pagan. Thank you. Thank you. I would love to.
Absolutely. Do you have any classes or anything that people can, sign up for or take from you or anything like that?
No, but I have a blog at liminallandscapes.com, and it
Okay.
just is lots of recipes and just what's going on in the day-to-day things. It's I eat seasonally, so it's very seasonal. Like right now, it's mostly blackberries. I have tons and tons and tons of blackberries. Um,
That sounds good to me. I love blackberries. So, well, this has been an absolute joy, Laurel. Thank you so much for coming by the show. I am so excited for your works that are coming out and all of your cool date book stuff that's going to be happening in 2024. And yeah, anytime you'd like to come by and just chit chat, I would be happy to have you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, everyone who's listening, thank you so much for joining us. We love that you guys are able to be here every single time. You guys take care of yourselves, stay safe, especially in this crazy, crazy world. And I will see you all next week. Bye, everyone.